What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Seez Monroe Show. I am your host, and today we're here to talk about D23. Now, guys, I just came from seeing Borderlands, and I'm going to talk more about that on Movie Talk Monday. I'm going to give my full review there. Today, I want to focus on D23. The reason being is there was a few things that came out this week that kind of bothered me. I had a hunch for a few of these things, a hint, a hunch, one or the other. But my main thing and one of my main takeaways from D23 was there was no plan for phase 5 and 6. Like, they were just winging it. Kind of like I'm doing with this video. No, in all seriousness, let's get into it. First things first, let's go into the Kang situation as far as Jonathan Majors. Again, I felt like what they gave Jonathan Majors and what they accused him of, again, it was one of those things is to be taken very seriously. But I felt like it was just an out for Disney. It wasn't really a reasoning behind it. Again, it was something that you can literally get behind an actor on and not have a problem with moving forward. I just honestly feel like that was Disney's out. And they utilized it. Because going back and looking at the Kang storyline, it just didn't add up. And people really gave me a lot of shit for the review that I gave Loki seasons 1 and 2. It was intriguing to those who knew about what was to come, right? But just watching it as a show for itself, or looking at it as a 3.5 hour movie each season, right? If you look at it from that aspect, they're not really good shows because it's everywhere and it doesn't come to a conclusion of anything. Now, the end of Loki season 2, you can say that Loki was the god of stories, right? Which is great, but again, it goes back to there was nothing leading you into Loki becoming the god of stories. There was nothing in not Thor 1 through 3, any Avengers films that we felt that Loki was going to be able to control the multiverse. So why just throw that at the end of Loki season 2? It's because you didn't have anything going. You didn't have any plans for this stuff. So you just, again, winged it, and we got what we got, and we fanboyed the hell out of it, and people just seem to love it because that's just what we do, right? They never had a real storyline for Kang. Kang was not supposed to be introduced the way that he was, and the multiverse story just kind of complicated things because the multiverse story is already complicated within itself. Let's go back, let's rewind the time to like the 90s X-Men cartoons. The reason why the X-Men cartoons were great is because they had 23 episodes to explain what was going on that season. Nowadays, we're used to 10 episode seasons, and we're used to getting little tidbits of things here and there, Easter eggs that we just jump for joy over, and we're satisfied with it. But the reason why we're satisfied with it is because we have these YouTube breakdowns like the Seez Monroe Show that's here that's going to explain what's going on in these 10 episode seasons, right? But you shouldn't need that. And I feel like I'm talking against myself right now. But in all honesty, you shouldn't need that. You should be able to go into these shows and enjoy these shows for what they are and pretty much move on or wait to the next season or whatever may have you. But now it's like you have to throw a think piece for every episode because they're just not explaining enough in these shows anymore. And to be honest with you, X-Men was always confusing, even at that time. They were going from the past to the present to the future and not in that order in every episode. It just got weird, but it was great. That's why films like Days of Future Past was kind of one of the best X-Men films out there, is because it kind of explained to you like why things work the way that they work. Like the time was never a linear thing in these, I don't want to say the MCU, but just the Marvel comics in general. You kind of moved around timelines a lot. So that's just one of the things you get with it. And me as a Marvel fan, as a comic book fan, I can enjoy it. But just going out there, getting someone today to watch a show and say, hey, tell me what you think, without looking at YouTube, without looking at a Reddit. What do you think about this? It's kind of difficult. It just doesn't work, right? So that's one of the things that's kind of upsetting me about this Kang situation. We're kind of throwing him to the side and stating that the reason why we're doing it is because of Jonathan Majors' issue. In all reality, it was never a story there. Even when they were talking about Secret Wars, I didn't understand how you were bringing in Secret Invasion, Secret Wars, and Kang at the same time when they're so different. Like, the timelines just don't add up, especially in the comics. And of course, I'm not saying that the MCU films are comic accurate at all, but they make sense, right? It's something there. They pull from the comics and they utilize those timelines, and it helps those films a lot more than just trying to wing a storyline off of a character. It just never works. It doesn't work, and it never will. But again, we're fanboying these situations, hence the Deadpool Wolverine fandom. We kind of just accept anything they throw at us, right? Even if it's crap. That's where we're at right now in the MCU. And that's why I feel like it's going to be a tough next 10 years for the MCU, because they have a lot of character building that they have to do. And these cameo appearances and bringing in these old characters, Easter eggs from 10 years ago, is just not going to work anymore. Like, you have a whole new generation out there and you have to appeal to the new, right? So that was one thing, the Kang storyline, that kind of irritated me about everything that's going on with the MCU. Another thing that kind of got me with D23 is I didn't hear about my man. I didn't hear about Blade at all. I guess the writing was on the wall. Okay, we watched Deadpool and Wolverine, and Wesley Snipes says there was only one Blade. There's only going to be one Blade. And they look at the camera and it's just like, are they telling us everything right now? Is this something that we're just going to have to accept? Blade is a very intricate character. He's not very popular, but he has some good stories. And the reason why those 90s Blade films did so great was because of Wesley Snipes. It wasn't really because the character is that much interesting, especially when you don't have characters like Spider-Man or Morbius that's in the same universe. Well, you kind of have Spider-Man in the same universe, but you don't have the Morbiuses in the same universe, and it just doesn't work. The timelines don't work. Like, one of the main reasons why Blade is a daywalker is because he was bitten by Michael Morbius, and with that little chemical compound that Michael Morbius injected, and that's what turned him into the vampire, and then the vampire, Michael Morbius, bit Blade, and that's what turned him into the Daywalker. Again, there's a lot of story in between there. I'm just giving you a summary of that. I felt like that would have been a great opportunity for Sony and Disney to work together again, especially with the Morbius movie. I stated that like 2 years ago. I felt like that would have been great. That would have worked out a lot better than what they're trying to do now. Bring us back to the 1930s or whatever with the Blade storyline. Introducing Man-Thing. Introducing the Bloodstone family. Like, it's too much. All right? Let's keep it modern day and let's move forward with this thing. Unless we're going to do some one-offs, which is cool, I'm with it. Just say that, right? Have your MCU films come out. All right, this is the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe here. And this is MCU adjacent with this one-off film, Blade, that has nothing to do with what's going on in the MCU right now. It's that simple. We're not dumb. Like, we can catch on to things like that. We can do that. DC has done it for years with Batman and the Justice League and all the other stuff. So I feel like we can definitely do that with the MCU. I don't know why we're trying to interconnect everything. It's just not working at this time. Third thing that kind of upset me about D23, I feel like there's a lot of upsets here. I'm going to find a positive, I promise. But the third thing that kind of got me irritated with D23, I'm going to say, was just the timing of everything. You kind of showed your hand at CinemaCon, and we're excited for these things already, and then you're kind of sprinkling in things that you're not going to be doing anymore. You bring us a new timeline of films, but it's like, hey, we're kind of jaded because the last timeline of films you gave us just weren't up to par, and on top of that, they never got here. And of course, you can blame the writer's strike. You can also blame the actor's strike. But there was things before then that kind of jaded the audience. Like the films that you were giving us just weren't it. And you were moving things around because you were trying to work things out, rework these films in a way that it's for the betterment of the MCU or if it's just for the betterment of box office. Either or, it just seemed to not work for the last 3 years. So I'm kind of worried about that. But again, what do I know? So I'm going to leave this up to you guys. What do you think? Did you guys check out D23? Personally, I feel like these are just my pet peeves with it. I promise you I'm going to try to find some goodness in this D23, in these D23 announcements. I'm going to explain that next week. But I don't know. I just feel like we're in this limbo where we just don't know what's going on with the MCU right now, and they're just throwing things at a wall and hoping something stick. Hence Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm gonna stop taking shots at this film one of these days. Today's just not that day. I'll see you guys Monday for Movie Talk Mondays. We're going to talk Borderlands. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you next time. Peace.